Hello and welcome to this lengthy tutorial of the board game A Game of Thrones 2nd edition. There's also a card game with the same name, but in this video I will only be explaining how the board game is played. I would like to mention that up till now this is my favorite board game, especially when it's played with 6 players, which is the maximum. The terms in your rulebook may be different from the ones I'm using, but I'm sure you'll understand. Let me teach you how it goes. You will be playing up to 10 rounds. As soon as one player owns 7 territories with either castles or cities on them, that player immediately wins the game. This is a castle, and this is a city. If you're in one of these territories, that will be 1 point for you. 7 points wins the game instantly. Now, I will explain how a round is played. Phase 1 is turning over these 3 cards and resolve them one by one. You skip this for the first round, but from the second round and up, you always start a round by doing this. Just do whatever it says on the cards. Sometimes there will be this little symbol on a card. That's for a wildling attack, and you can get all the information on that from the rulebook. So, phase 1 is flip these cards over and do whatever they say. Phase 2 is planning. In every territory where you have at least 1 token of your color, you can place down a planning token. That means you give your armies orders. You may place 1 token per territory. So again, the planning phase is where you put tokens in your territories. Of course, you place them face down so the other players can't see what you're planning. I will explain what each token means in a moment. But first, the last phase is 3, which is executing what you have planned. When all players have put down their tokens in their territories, you flip them all over. I'll come back to this later because there are some rules. First, a recap. Phase 1 is doing whatever the cards say you must do. Phase 2 is putting down your tokens to secretly plan what you intend to do this round. And phase 3 is executing your plans. Let's step back to those orders you can place. What are they? What can you do? As I've said, there are 5 different tokens to give to your armies. These tokens are what you place down, face down, in your territories to do something with it. First, we have this torch. That means raiding or plundering. And what does raiding mean? It means you are allowed to remove a planning token from one of the other players if their territory is right next to yours where you put it. For example, if I place a raiding order here, I get to remove this token from the other player's territory. That player now has nothing to do in this territory for the rest of the round. But can you remove just any token? No, you may not remove this token with the helmet on it. And you may not remove this token with an axe on it. All the other ones you can remove, as long as it's right next to the piece of land where you put this. Also, you can own a territory in the sea that's around the land. I have a simple rule for raiding. Can you walk into the sea all the way to a boat further up ahead with a burning torch? No, you can't. As soon as it touches the water, the fire goes out. Therefore, you cannot use a raiding order to attack from land to sea. Can you take a boat to land with a burning torch? Yes, you can. Therefore, you may use a raiding token to attack from sea to land. The next order you can choose to use is this helmet. You use this when you think another player might be planning to attack your territory, because this token means you get 1 extra point in battle. This helmet means defending your territory a little extra in a battle. The next one is this order token with an axe on it. This is a marching order. You use this when you want to move 1 or more of your armies to neighboring territories. You can send 1, you can send a few, or all of them. You are even allowed to send 1 or more to the territory to your left and 1 or more to the territory to your right, as long as it doesn't cause more than 1 battle to start. So when it's your turn, you can have only 1 battle. And again, when using this axe, you use it to move your troops over the board. There is a really cool way to travel very far by using boats. Make a note of it to check that out in the rulebook. You can use this very well and very often, moving your troops by ship. Look it up. Then we have the order token with the gauntlet on it. This means support. That's all, support. If a battle occurs in a territory next to yours, so your neighbors are fighting, you may choose to support 1 of the 2 armies. This is used most often to support your very own troops. That simply means you can count up all the points of the supporting troops to the troops that are actually in battle. And if the side that you support happens to lose the battle, it doesn't harm you in any way. Let me repeat it. This gauntlet token is used to support yourself or another player that is going into battle next door. Just like raiding, you can support from sea to land. This last token is the one with the crown on it. This one is a little less spectacular. You can use this to gain power. You place this in a territory, and then you get as many little power tokens as you can count crowns in this territory. For example, this piece of land already has 1 crown printed on it, and you placed a crown token next to it. That means I count 2 crowns in this territory, and I take 2 power tokens from the supply. You're going to need these power tokens, and you get those by placing these crowns in 1 or more of your territories. So, we have this raiding order which lets you remove certain orders from other players next to your land. This defense order gives you a little bit more strength when you're defending yourself during a battle. The marching order lets you move your pieces around on the game board. The support token adds your army's numbers to a battle that's about to happen in the territory next to you. And the crown is to get power tokens which you'll need in this game. Those are all the tokens you can use in a Game of Thrones. You will see that some of those tokens have little gold stars on them. That means they can do a little bit more. And what that is, I ask you to look up in the rulebook. It's not very complicated. Just keep in mind that every player has its own number of tokens with stars that they're allowed to use during the planning phase. Then back to executing. Phase 3, where you try to do everything you just planned to do. besides a player turn, there is also a turn in which the orders are executed. Pay attention. You always start with only the raiding orders, these torches here. You only execute those one by one in the order of the player turn first. None of the other tokens. When you execute a raiding order, remove it from the board. Only when there are no more torches on the board can you move on to the next part. And that is executing all the orders of the tokens that show silvery objects, by which I mean the helmet and the axe and the gauntlet. There's no order in which they have to be executed. Well, basically you can only execute the axe because the gauntlet and the helmet are not actions, they are just support in battle. And when there are no more tokens on the board with a helmet or an axe or a gauntlet, then you end the round by dealing with the crowns. So, executing phase 3 goes as followed. First, all the torches, then the helmet, axe and gauntlets in any order, and end it with executing the crown tokens. Remember to remove your tokens once the order has been dealt with. A quick recap. Phase 1. Do whatever it says on the cards. Phase 2 is putting down the order tokens. The meaning of each token is written on the little screen that you get during the setup, so you can always look if you need a reminder. And phase 3 is executing all the order tokens. First all the torches, then all the battle gear, and ending with the crowns. That's how you play a Game of Thrones. Next, let me explain the board a bit. I don't need to tell you this is land and this is sea. You already know this is a castle and this is a city. You need to control these territories to win the game. We also have this and this. Let's start with this one. This keeps track of how many armies you are allowed to have. You are limited. First, what is an army? Is this an army? No. This one? Nope. Not this one. And not this one. So, what is an army? I'll create an army now. Watch this. There you go. Now it's an army. Whenever you have more than one piece in a territory, that's called an army. So I'm free to do this. One piece in every land over the whole board. That's allowed. As soon as I start adding more, then it's an army, and then you always have to keep an eye on this to see if it's allowed. The 2 means an army of 2. 3 is an army of 3 pieces, and so on. That is what this section means. When do you go up or down? You can see the same barrels on the board. When you flip over a card at the start of the round that says you have to recalculate your supply, then you count for yourself how many territories you have that have this barrel in them. You never do it immediately, you only do that when this card comes along and tells you to do it. Then you can go up or down on this track. Moving on, this part of the board. Remember those little power tokens? You'll be needing them here. The first row is the player order. Whoever is here is the first player, the second player, and so on. So you don't just go clockwise around the table, you go by this. For example, gray, red, yellow. Player Stark always goes first, then player Baratheon, and then the Lannisters. Next row. This decides who wins a battle in case of a tie. If two players have fought and it's a tie, whoever is the highest up here is the winner. And last, this one. Remember those planning tokens with the little gold stars on them? This track decides how many of those star tokens you are allowed to use. That's what this means. Well, what do you need the power tokens for then? When a round starts and you flip over the cards, there could be a card that says you wipe this whole area clean and put down a new order. Then, row by row, you get to bid on them. First row, you grab a secret number of power tokens. Hold out your fist with everyone else, and then reveal. Whoever has the most goes in first place. Whoever has the second most goes in second place, and so on. And then you do the same for the second row and the third row. And so the order of this is changed. Whoever is in the first space even gets a special power. Look it up in the book. So we've had how to play around, turn a card, and plan and execute. And you know what the board means. Last item, battle. How is it done? First, let's meet the pieces. This little guy is a soldier. He is worth 1 point in battle. Let's have a simple, incomplete example of a battle. There are 3 soldiers here and 1 here. This one has a crown and this one has an axe. So, when it's my turn, I choose to move 2 soldiers into this territory to automatically make it a battle. I've got 2, this one's got only 1, I win. It's not that simple, but this is the basic start of how you count points in a battle. 1 soldier is 1 point. This horse is a knight. She is worth 2 points in battle. This is a boat, which is only in a sea territory, of course, and it's worth 1 point in battle, because boats can fight too. And last we have the siege tower. When you are under attack, it is worth 0 points. When you are invading a territory where there is no castle or a city, it's also worth 0 points. But when you are invading a territory where there is a castle or a city, it is worth 4 points. Small detail to help you remember this. The siege tower is only worth 4 points if you have an actual wall to put it against when you are attacking another player. If there is no wall, or if you're not attacking, it's not worth anything in battle. So again, the soldier, 1 point. The knight, 2 points. The boat, 1 point. And the tower is either 0 points or 4 points. How do you get these or more of these on the boards? How do you get more armies? Check the rulebook. You get them either by cards or by using these crowns with a little star on it. And now, the actual battle. A battle starts by you first secretly placing a marching order in your territory. Then, when the time has come to execute it, you move 1 or more of your pieces into your enemy's territory. Step 1. Count your points. For example, you have just slided one soldier and one knight into the other player's territory. That means you have 3 points so far. 1 point for the soldier and 2 points for your knight. Of course, the other player gets to count his or her points too. Then, step 2. Ask for support from the neighboring territories. They can be on land and they can be on sea. And you can get support from other players, but also from your own players if they are next door. Then count the points from the support you get and add those points that you add them to the points you already had. For example, this one soldier next door that you own gives you support with the gauntlet token. That means you can add 1 point to your total. You already had 1, 2, 3, and now you have a power of 4. 4 points. The final step is step 3, adding a card from your hand to the battle. Each player has its own deck of cards. You choose one and place it face down on the table. When the other player has also chosen a card, you both reveal it. Each card is worth a specific number of points. You add those points to the ones that you already had. Whoever has the most points wins the battle. The points on the cards are these numbers in the top corner, and there might be more written on the card or depicted, but please check the rulebook for what that means if it isn't clear to you. So, step 1. March your troops into the enemy's territory and count your points. Step 2. See if you can get any support from next door and add those points. And step 3. Play a card and also add those points to the final score. Most points wins the battle. The losing player puts all his or her pieces on the side and moves them to an available territory next to it. There may be casualties, but you can check the book for that. Same goes for an alternative way of doing battle, which you can also find easily in the rules. When I play this game, I always use this little battle deck as well. It's up to you. And that is about it. This is how you play a Game of Thrones, the board game. As I've let you know earlier, I haven't explained how it works with a wildling attack. Same goes for explaining how harbors work. Just glance at the rulebook. I rather explain this game to you that you have about 80% sense of how to play it, instead of giving you an info overload. Now you hopefully know this. A maximum of 10 rounds. Try to own 7 territories with a castle or a city on it. Deal with the cards. Plan and execute. And in battle, whoever has the most points wins the fight. This concludes my tutorial. Hopefully you'll be seated around this game now or soon, and you understand roughly what you're doing. Thank you for watching, and see you for the next one.